Jnanasamandasya Nandana Shakaya Chakshurunmalatam Tasma Shri Gurave Namah. I was born the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master has kindly opened my eyes with a shining torchlight of transcendental knowledge. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. Now, last week, I know we did text 13. Did we finish the purport? We didn't, did we?
No.
Oh, I think we only just started the purport.
Yeah, just one paragraph.
Yeah, so we'll read the Sanskrit again, the translation again, and then we'll start off from where we left off in the purport. Okay, so we're reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, entitled The Knowledge of the Absolute, text number 13. Tribir Gunamayar Bhavair Ibi Sarvam Idam Jagat
Sarvam idam jagat
Mohitam na bijanati
Mohitam na bijanati
Mamebhya paramavyayam. Anyone else like to have a go? It's quite a simple one, straightforward, this one.
Tribhi gunamaya bhavarbhi
Tribhi-gunamaya bhavar
sarve midjagata
sarvam idam jagat
mohita nabhijanate
mohitam na vijanati
mamebhya param vyam.
Mamebhya paramavyayam. Anyone else? You'll have a go if you like.
Krishna only wants to see intention, doesn't matter.
Okay, let's read the translation then. Bob, do you want to read the translation, please?
Deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, the whole world does not know me. Who am above the mode of inexhaustible and exhausted.
Exhaustible and exhausted.
Yeah, so pretty much every conditioned soul in the material world is bewildered by the illusory energy, by Maya, except for the Lord himself. When he incarnates and comes into the material world, he's not, as mentioned here, he's above the modes. So whether God is in the spiritual world or when he comes to the material world, he's not affected by Maya. He's the controller or master of Maya, so he's not under the influence of Maya. And also the pure devotees of the Lord. So when God sends his beloved son or servant to the Lord to preach his glories, then they're also not conditioned by Maya. But pretty much everyone is affected by Maya to some degree. Even great demigods. Even great demigods, they're generally conditioned by the mode of goodness. So it could be worse, right? Worse is to be conditioned by ignorance and passion. But even to be conditioned in goodness, sattva guna, you're still under Maya. You're still under the influence of Maya. So even the Brahmanas, right? They're conditioned by sattva guna, by goodness, but they're still under Maya. But mainly they're illusioned by the mode of goodness. So how is it an illusion that there's to be in the mode of goodness? It sounds pretty good, right? Well, they're in the mode of goodness. That sounds pretty good. Why? That's not bad, is it? No, it's still bad. So what's bad about the mode of goodness? Any idea? In the
Can
mode
be
of goodness, what do you have a lot of? What's the main thing you have in the mode of goodness?
a lot of
Trying.
bhakti.
Not necessarily bhakti, no. Maybe, could be, but not necessarily, not always.
Would it be possessions?
Good
No,
association.
you could have very few possessions. Generally, Brahmanas are very poor. Generally, they're very poor.
Ego?
They have ego, yes, but I wouldn't say they have a lot of ego, like compared with others. They also have some false ego, like everyone else. But what do they possess a lot of? I'll give you a clue. It starts with K.
Knowledge.
Yeah, they have a lot of knowledge. That's the general symptom of someone in the mode of goodness, is that they have knowledge, right? So what's the problem with, what can the problem be with having a lot of knowledge? Is that a problem? What could the
Don't put it
problem?
into practice, it could be.
Yeah, true. You could be an armchair philosopher. You could know a lot of things, but you don't practice any of it. Yeah, that's there. What
Can
can
you be
it
proud?
create in us when you have a lot of knowledge and you know you have an understanding about how the material world works, and you have a knowledge about what the right things to do are and what the wrong things are, what pious activities are, which is good karma, and impious or sinful activities, which is bad karma. You know, and you avoid the bad karma and you do the good karma. You avoid the bad karma. So you have that knowledge of what to do and what not to do. You do mainly pious in the mode of goodness. Mainly you act piously. You give charity, and you do some austerities, and you do some sacrifices, and you avoid sinful activities. Like in the mode of goodness, you wouldn't be eating meat, you wouldn't be taking intoxication, you wouldn't be having illicit sex, you wouldn't be gambling. So you have that knowledge that you avoid sinful activities because it causes you to suffer. So all that knowledge can cause what?
Isolation.
Possibly. Well, definitely you're isolated from sinful people. Definitely that's there. Having that knowledge, like I said, you can avoid, with that knowledge, you can avoid a lot of suffering. You can avoid a lot of suffering. You know, 99% of our suffering comes from sinful activity. So if you're in the mode of goodness and you have knowledge, you're avoiding all that sinful activity. Then, so you're not suffering so much. So you feel, how do you feel? You feel happy. And the mode of goodness, when you have knowledge, causes the result of that knowledge is that you feel happy. Now, what's the problem with that? Is that wrong to feel happy in the material world?
No.
No.
It is.
It is?
It is. It is.
Okay.
If you feel happy in the material world, then you'll want to
Stay here.
stay here. Is that wrong?
Yes.
Yes. It's wrong to want to stay here because
It's
you
wrong to
feel
be
happy
happy.
here. I got my good pad. I've got my good job. I've got my good family. I've got a beautiful body. I've got well educated. You know, I'm born in an aristocratic family. You know, I'm very wealthy. You know, these are all results of being in the mode of goodness. Four main things in the mode of goodness for how you can tell, you know, someone in the mode of goodness. Generally, if you're getting the results of previous pious activities in previous lives, then you'll be born in a good family. You'll be born in a, you know, family with lots of wealth, or aristocratic family, you know, like that, well educated, you know, like that, Brahmin family or whatever like that. And another one is you have a good looking body, you know, beautiful and strong or handsome or whatever like that. And then that's a result of in the mode of goodness. And then you are well educated. You have knowledge. You're well educated. And then what did I say? Did I say wealth? I said born in wealth. Yeah. So and also have wealth. So those four things are generally results of being in the mode of goodness. So having those things, and you feel like, well, it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice in the material world. You know, I like it here. You know, so that's very bad. You know, so once again, that's like it's saying in this verse, deluded. They're deluded. The thing you can.
What sort of body you will get, that's not in your control. Krishna will give you a good body or not good body. It's not in your control. If you got a very
well,
body,
no, I mean not really, Krishna. I mean, it's given because of your past karma automatically. Because of your past karma, you get that. It's not that Krishna is directly involved. Like I said, Krishna's playing his flute, playing with his friends in the spiritual world. He's not spending his life, you know, working out what body Gulshan's going to get and Deepa and Bob and Abai are going to get and everything like that. Now that's his demigods. His servants have been appointed to organise that. Yamaraj and Chitragupta and his team and everything like that are sorting all that, you know, according to whether we're doing pious or impious activities like that. So, but yeah, that's delusion or strong illusion that you think you're happy in the material world. So that can be problematic, you know, with the mode of goodness. You have to be careful. And you know, someone that has a lot of knowledge, they can think, and that's the false ego, that that they're better than everyone else. And what do we call that? What do you call that when you think you're better than everyone else?
It's pride.
That's pride. Is pride a good quality? Well, what's the problem with pride, thinking you're better than everyone else? What can potentially go wrong with that?
Well, with pride, you'd have ego for a start, wouldn't you?
Well, that is part of the ego. Yeah, the false ego, that we think we're very big, we're very important. Yeah, so that's the false ego. But what can actually go wrong with those thoughts? I mean, it's just thinking that isn't going to cause any harm. But what is the problem that can follow on from that can actually cause us harm, like serious harm?
You don't feel Krishna is the personality of Godhead.
Oh, definitely. If you think you're very great and big and powerful, then you know Krishna's not very relevant in your life. You don't need Krishna.
That's the problem.
You know, I have everything I need. I don't need God.
Daddy.
Hey,
Hey Ben.
Hey Ben, good to see you. Here he is, the gardener, the green fingers man. That's the green fingers man. That's great. Yeah, Deepa's been sending me pictures of the fruits of his labour in the garden. It's great.
Abhay, does pride lead to the fact that you may want to be God?
Definitely.
But that's not what you were going to say.
No, that's true what you're saying, but that's not the line that I was thinking along. But that's not wrong what you're saying. But how does pride cause us harm? Is that, like I said,
to complacency? Could that be?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't be afraid of Maya or anything like that. So you're very complacent like that. You don't have your guard up against falling more into the material world. But the main thing that causes us harm once we're proud and think we're better than others is that you abuse others, you exploit others when you're proud. And what's the problem with that? Why can't I abuse anyone? Why can't I exploit anyone? Because, know it or not, God loves everyone. You know, God loves every living thing, you know, as part and parcel of God. We're part and parcel of God, and so is everyone else. So whether they're in a human body or in a dog's body or a human, a demigod body or whatever body, So if we act harshly or abusively, exploitatively, unnecessarily, like that heavily on any living entity, God's not pleased. And if God's not pleased, then watch out. Because he's very powerful. He's the most powerful person. And if you displease him by hurting other living entities, then he can kick you so far you won't know where you're going to land. And there's even stories where even devotees have insulted or offended another devotee. One time, one devotee was in Jagannath Puri, and he saw that Lord Jagannath's servants offered new cloth to Lord Jagannath, which without washing it. See, normally when you get a new cloth, you should wash it. Why? Because it's very stiff, because it has a lot of starch in it. New cloth has a lot of starch in it. Have you noticed that? New cloth can be, often they'll pre-wash clothes, so you don't get to see that. But a lot of clothes in India, they don't pre-wash or anything. It's just like a dhoti or something, or a kurta can be so hard. It's very stiff, like cardboard. So why that is, because there's a lot of starch in it, because it's never been washed. So you generally should wash it once before you wear it. So, but they had offered the cloth to Jagannath without washing it. So it was very stiff. And the devotee felt some negative thoughts towards Jagannath's servants. So Jagannath was upset. And this particular devotee had come originally from South India. So Jagannath kicked him, and that's literally kicked him all the way back to South India. Now, it's a long way from Jagannath Puri to South India. But the Lord tossed one of his devotees all the way from Orissa to South India. That's a hell of a long way. So just the point is that, we have to be very careful not to become proud, because if we develop an offensive mentality to other living entities, and if the Lord's not pleased, then definitely you won't progress in bhakti. So even though you may do the external things, chanting and so forth, reading or whatever, but you won't be able to progress if the Lord's not pleased. So that's very important. Alongside, we're doing good things like chanting and so forth, but, we have to be always very careful not to offend other living entities. And it's said the worst offences are offences to devotees, and it's said that it's 1,000 times more grievous offence to offend devotees than to another living entity. But even any living entity we have to be careful, because they're also children of the Lord. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Aham bija prada pita. That means that he is the seed-giving father. He's the seed-giving father of all living entities. So if one child hurts another child in the family, then how's the father going to feel about that? Imagine the big child beats the crap out of the younger child. Then how's the father going to respond to that?
Well, he'd be disappointed.
He'll be very disappointed at the very least. That's a very mild statement Bob was making. So that's at the very least he's going to be disappointed. At the very most, he's going to pull out his belt or something and give you a good smack on the backside. That's what would happen in the old days. Now you're not allowed to do that. But yeah, so he's going to be very upset. He's going to be very upset, you know. So he doesn't tolerate. The parents don't tolerate one of the children hurting another one of the children, isn't it? You know. So the big child, you know, big, strong, intelligent child hurting the younger, weaker child like that, that's like a human being, you know, hurting a non-human. Like they're like weaker than us, less intelligent, isn't it? The animals and the birds and the fish and everything like that. Just imagine one of the kids is retarded, is handicapped. If the big child, the healthy big child thinks, oh, this my younger brother's useless. He's just a retarded, handicapped one. I'm just going to kill him. You know, is the father going to accept that as a very good idea?
No.
No, the father loves the handicapped child maybe even more than the normal healthy one. Because why? Why would that be? Why would sometimes the parent would be even more affectionate and protective to the one that's weaker and has some problems?
Sometimes the child that's got issues gives more back to the parent.
Yeah, that may be there. But also what I was thinking and what's also mentioned is that they're completely helpless, whereas the strong normal one is not helpless, so they don't need so much from the parents. But the handicapped one or helpless one is fully dependent on the parents, you know, so therefore the parents reciprocate with that. This child needs me. I have to look after this child. It's fully depending on me. I have to protect this child. So even more protection may be given to the weaker one like that. So if the strong one thinks, oh, my brother's a retard, I'm just going to kill him, because he's useless. He's completely useless. Just might as well get rid of him. He's not productive or anything like that. Let's just do away with him. But the parent's not going to accept that at all. You know, he's gonna get a big kick up the backside, and like that. So like that, this is what it's like in the laws of material nature. So you have to be very careful. One, like I give you an example, how dangerous it is. Like, for example, a cow is completely helpless, you know, can't protect himself from humans that come and slaughter, you know, slaughter the cows. I had a very bad day yesterday. I went to see one of the neighbours, and at the side of his driveway, he had a long driveway to his farm. It's a farming area where I live. Side of the driveway, there was the head of a cow, and nothing else, just the head. You know, and I was so shocked. You know, I was the rest of the day my mind was so disturbed that like that they're completely helpless, innocent. You know that they come under our shelter, under our protection. You know, we have them on the farm or whatever like that, and they're innocent. You know, they don't know, you know, what your plan is, and then you just come up to them and kill them. So that's very bad. You know, if someone, like if a person takes shelter of you, then it's your duty to protect that thing. If someone says, hey, boy, you know, help me, you know, feed me, protect me, whatever, then I have to do that, you know. So then when they turn their back, if I go and slit their throat, that's very bad. They've come under my protection, and then when they're not ready, you know, not watching, then you kill them. So it's like that with these animals. They're helpless animals, and they're living under our care. They're living under care, and then you kill them. So that's very bad, you know. So that's the punishment for doing that is very heavy. Like it said, and on the other side also the cow. And I was talking to these neighbors, and I was telling them, you want to eat meat, then you eat anything else but not cows, you know. So I told them that, and they said, why? And I said, because the cow is giving such great service to your family, to human society. It's giving milk, you know, and it's giving the cow dung is good for the best for the fertilizer for the garden. And I told them the cow urine in India, the cow urine, they use it for medicine. Even the urine of a cow is medicine. The cow dung is fertilizer. And I said traditionally the bull, of course, the male was used for ploughing the land and pulling the bullock cart and everything before tractors were invented. So I said the bull is like our father, you know, brings home the bread, right? Brings the grains. We say the father brings home the bread. He's the breadwinner, right? We used to call the father the breadwinner. So actually the bull was used to help grow your grains, help grow your bread. You know, with the help of the bull ploughing the land, then only by that you can grow your rice and your wheat and your oats and everything like that. And the cow is like mother, because the cow is giving milk for our whole life, like our mother gives us milk for a short time, if we're lucky. And so like that, I was trying to encourage them, you know, so to protect the cows and not to exploit the cows. Because it's mentioned in the Manu Samhita, and the father of mankind is called Manu. That's where the English word man comes from. It comes from the Sanskrit word Manu. So Manu is the father of man, is Manu. So he wrote a law book for humankind called the Manu Samhita. And the Manu Samhita is mentioned for a cow that's killed, every hair on the body of that cow. Do you know how many hairs are on the body of a cow? It's too many to count, right? It's lots. So for every hair on the body of a cow, that the person has to take birth in the body of a cow for every hair on that body and be killed.
Wow.
And be killed. So that's a lot. So don't worry. I mean, because we've all, I mean, you know, been involved with that before we came to Krishna consciousness. So, and Krishna says that in the famous verse, which is said to be the essence or conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, 1866, 18th chapter, text 66, that he says, just surrender to him. If you surrender to him, he'll deliver you from all sinful reactions, including killing cows and so forth. So 1866, very important verse. So he says, I will deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Otherwise, wow, we'd be very afraid. Well, I have to take birth as a cow. That's just for one cow that's killed. You know, what to speak of many more. For every hair on the body of that cow, take birth as a cow and be killed. So like that, but Krishna can absolve us from all of these things. But the point is like that you know, if we hurt any helpless creatures that have come under our protection and we hurt them, abuse them, then that's very bad, you know. So we have to be, so that's what I'm saying, pride. And once again, you know, the whole of humanity is suffering from this pride that we're thinking, I'm a human being, I'm more important than everyone else, right? Than every other species. You know, human beings, we're the superior race, you know, we're the highest species. We're more better than the cats and dogs and the pigs and the animals and the plants and the fish and the birds. It's, you know, like that. This whole earth and everything on it belongs to us. So that's a big false ego, false ego in the form of pride, that we're thinking we're better than others. I mean, in one sense, we are better. Like I said, you know, we're more intelligent than any other species. But the way we think about being better is what's wrong. Is that, okay, I'm stronger, I'm more intelligent, I'm better than my younger brothers, my weaker, dumber brothers, so I should protect them. Okay, you are better, you are more intelligent, you are stronger, then you should use that for a good purpose to protect them. The wrong way to deal with being better is that, well, I'm just going to exploit and abuse and everything. So, like that. Like even Christians get it wrong, right? Where it says in the Bible, you know, God gave us dominion over the earth, right? It says that in the Bible, right? God gave the human beings dominion over the earth. So then Christians have taken it upon themselves, not all of them, but a lot of them, take it upon themselves, meaning that, hey, wow, it's all ours. You know, I can do whatever I like. I can rape, pillage, steal, plunder, you know, everything, you know, like that. But that's not what dominion means. You have, you know, like the husband, the father has dominion over his family. What does that mean?
To protect.
He's going to beat the crap out of his family and abuse them. And no, that's not what it's meant. It means you're supposed to protect. Okay, you're in charge. You're the boss of your family. So don't take advantage of that for you know, nasty purposes. You know, you have a big response. You're the big authority, so you have the biggest responsibility to protect them and be their guardian and be their maintainer. And, you know, if anything goes wrong, it's your fault. Isn't it? If anything goes wrong, it's your fault. You stuffed up, you know, like that. So it's a big responsibility. Not that I can do anything and then it's not my responsibility. No, it doesn't work like that. So human beings have got it all wrong. You know, that's, you know, completely misunderstood. You know, that to be in a human body is a great responsibility. You have great power, and especially in the form of the knowledge that you have, because that's the main difference between humans and non-humans, is that we have so much knowledge that they don't have. And we use that knowledge to exploit them. But actually, we should use that knowledge for their benefit, for their welfare. We should, it said, Krishna says that every human being should work for the welfare of other living entities with their body, with their mind, with their words, and with their wealth. We should work for the welfare of other living entities. Pranaya, that means your life, your body, your life. Pranaya, ataya means your wealth. Diya means your like intelligence, with your mind, your intelligence, diya. And then vacha means your words. We should work for the welfare. Shreya means for the welfare. Shreya acharanam sada. Shreya for the welfare. Achar means acting. We should act for the welfare. And sada means always. So human beings should always act for the welfare of other living entities with their body, their wealth, their intelligence, and their words. You know, so that's the responsibility that we have. Not that we exploit others with our body and our wealth and our intelligence and our words, abuse or whatever, but no, work for their welfare. So that's the responsibility. So that all this has come about because we're saying that even the mode of goodness is, you know, we can get deluded. So we have to come above the mode of goodness, even having some knowledge. And of course, the ultimate knowledge is that we're a tiny, insignificant servant of Krishna. And he's the only master. He's the boss, and everyone else is a servant. So we're his servant. So that's the ultimate knowledge. And then we should surrender to Krishna. And like I said, the knowledge, we should have the knowledge that, you know, Krishna loves every living entity. So we should be respectful to every living entity. Of course, we can't help to not hurt some living entities, because in order for this body to live, some other living things have to die, doesn't it? Even if I'm a vegetarian, well, there's a lot of vegetables have to die, you know, in order for this body to live. But we have a right to maintain our life. So, but we should take only as much as we need, means killing other living entities. We should take only as much as we need to maintain this body and soul together. to stay alive, And if you do that, then that's not sinful. But if you take more than what you need to stay alive, then your quota, just imagine that the father gives all of his children a quota. Okay, my dear child Bob, here, I'm going to give you this to maintain yourself. Thank you, Dad. And Gulshan, I'm going to give you this. And Deepa, I'm going to give you this. So you accept whatever God is giving for your maintenance. But where we go wrong is Deepa goes, oh, I want what Bob has. I want what Gulshan has too. Then I'll have 3 shares, like that. So that's greed, right? So that's where we, of course, Deepa would never do that. But just an example, of course. So we shouldn't infringe upon others' quota. Like, for example, what is the quota of a human being? It said the quota given by God to a human being is vegetarian food. So that's the quota. So if you eat as much vegetarian food as you need to survive, then there's no harm with that. You're not going to suffer for that. But if you take beyond that, eat animals and so forth, that's not the quota. That's the quota for a tiger, is eating meat. That's the quota for your cat. That's the quota for your dog and so forth, is eating meat. But the quota of a human being is vegetarian food. And even the vegetarian food, because there's still souls, they're still part and parcel of God also, in the lettuce and the carrot and the potato and everything. So they're also, the souls in there are part and parcel of God. So in one sense, there's going to be a reaction for killing them also. So, but you can avoid that by offering. That's what the importance of offering the vegetarian food to the Lord. Then there's no sinful reaction. Then there's no sinful reaction at eating that food. And because, say, like today we had a salad, so we chopped up a lettuce and everything like that. So say that lettuce, the body of that soul in the form of a lettuce got killed. So we offered it to the Lord. So actually that soul in the lettuce, in its next life, gets a human body, because if it got offered to the Lord. Normally, the soul in a lettuce doesn't reincarnate to a human. That's not normal. Normally, it would go up to, I don't know what the next one after a lettuce is. There's 8,400,000 species. Say it's a lettuce body, then you get into let's say a cabbage body. So normally it would be like that. It normally wouldn't go take birth as a lettuce, then take birth as a human. But if you offer that produce to the Lord, then that living entity gets the credit. That living entity gets great credit and immediately get a human form of life in the next life, like that. So the milk you're taking milk, you offer that to the Lord. So the cow that supplied that milk gets the credit of serving Krishna, and that cow will get, that soul in the cow will get the body of a human in its next life. So what's the benefit that all these souls get in the body of a human? Because the body of the human, that's the only species that has an opportunity to become enlightened, self-realization, and go back to Godhead. So that's a great blessing, So you're offering all this vegetarian produce and all the souls involved with that, instead of suffering and like that, they're actually being elevated to a higher life where they can from there go back to the spiritual world. So you're actually rendering great service by, in one sense, killing them, but then offering those things to the Lord. How people, you can't use that same logic and say, well, I'll offer the lamb and the chicken to the Lord and those souls will get elevated to human body. That doesn't work. Why doesn't that work? That same logic.
because we got no right to kill because Krishna gave it a birth. Krishna's got a right. We become a Krishna then if we killing them. We feel like we are equal to Krishna, and then it's not right way to kill somebody.
No, but like I'm saying, we're killing the plants and offering them. So why can't we kill the animals and offer them to Krishna? What's the difference? It's all killing.
It's not written in the Gita. It's the pushpam phalam toyam patram.
That's right. That's the point. That's the answer. That Krishna only eats vegetarian food. Krishna only eats. So you can only offer him what he wants, what he will accept. I mean, you can offer him whatever you like, but he won't accept it. You know, and then if he doesn't accept it, then it's not prasadam, and then that soul doesn't get uplifted to a human body. So you have to offer him what he wants, and then if you offer him what he wants with love, he says, if you offer it with love, then it becomes prasadam. He accepts it, and then that soul will get the human form of life in the next life. So it's actually instead of your eating being violence, it's actually non-violence. The definition of violence, according to the Vedas, is very interesting. It's different than what we would normally think violence. In Sanskrit, violence is called himsa, and non-violence is called ahimsa. So you put an A in front of it, it's the opposite, right? Bhaya means fear, and abhaya means without fear, no fear. So himsa is violence, and ahimsa means non-violence. So what is the definition according to the Vedas? That if the soul is elevated towards going back to Godhead, that is non-violence. If the soul's going further away from going back to Godhead, that's violence. Okay? So let's give an example. If a human being kills another human being, should he be killed or not killed? Is it, let me put it another way. If a human being kills another human being, we call that murder, murders another human being, is it violence to kill him or violence to not kill him? Put up your hands if you think it's violence to kill the murderer.
Can you repeat the question, mate? Sorry.
If a human being kills another human being, which we call murder, if the murderer is killed, is that violence or non-violence?
It's
violence still.
Non-violence.
Gulshan says non-violence, Deepa says violence. To kill the murderer is non-violence. I'll explain it. To not kill him, to not kill a murderer is violence. Remember the definition. If the soul is getting closer to going back to Godhead, is non-violence. If the soul's getting further away from going back to Godhead, that's violence. Okay. Now, how does that work with murderer? The murderer has taken a human being's life, right? So when he dies, then he's going to be punished severely. He's going to be punished severely. He's going to go to hell first and be thrashed in ways that I don't want to describe because it's very violent.
He's going to get roasted.
What's that?
He's going to get roasted.
Yeah, there's all different kinds of punishments. There's many hells depending on what we do. So first of all, he's going to get thrashed. And then after that, he's going to be put in a lower form of life like that. And then also will also the person that he killed will come back in a form to kill him, right? But now I'm killing you, and in your next life you kill me. So it's very complicated, and you're stopped from progressing for a long time. So that soul's evolution is blocked for a long time and then goes backwards for some time, and before it can go up again. However, okay, a person kills someone else, he's murdered, then the king, or now we have the government, if the government corporal punishment kills him, then it's an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. So that's squared out, -1 + 1. You took a life, but you gave your life. So that's balanced now. You understand? The only way to equalize that, you took a life. So the only way to balance that, you have to give a life, your own life. Then that's neutralized, right? So if the murderer is killed, then that sin is immediately finished. There's nothing more. And then after the death, then that soul can continue evolving. You understand? But if that murderer doesn't sacrifice his life in return for taking a life, then he's locked up with so much entanglement and reactions like that. So actually it's non-violence to kill him, because the soul can progress, and it's violence to not kill him. We'll keep him in jail for the rest of his life, and like that we're very kind, merciful people. We'll keep him in jail. Actually, you're doing him the worst possible.
But what I'm understanding is that in the first place, anyone is not entitled to take anyone's life. It's not us. It's Krishna.
Well, that's according to the Vedas. It's not true. No, the leader of the society, he is
representative of Krishna
to punish on behalf. He's a representative of God, right?
Yeah.
The leader of the country, whatever is the king or whatever you're going to call him, is the representative of God. So as a duty, once again back to duty, as a duty to actually do something good for all those living entities in his kingdom. Because like I say, he's actually doing a good service for the welfare by killing the murderer. That's his love for the murderer, to kill him, because he's actually freeing him from all that bad karma that's going to block him from progressing for a long time. And also he's doing a very good thing for his society by killing the murderer, because 1,000 other potential murderers are going to think very carefully. They're going to think very carefully before they kill anyone, because they know if I kill someone, that guy's going to come with his previously sword, now with his machine gun, and kill me. So they won't do it. So you stop a lot. Like I give you one good thing, and in Muslim countries, and even to this day, if you steal something in many Muslim countries, immediately what will they do?
They chop the finger.
They chop your head off. And stealing is finished. No more stealing. And that will stop, countless other thieves. But when you just give them a, $50 fine, it's like hopeless. It's like nothing. Then you're encouraging more thieves. So that's just helping us to understand.
Where does the mercy come from? Devotee always believe in forgiveness. So where that stand?
Yeah, I mean, but the forgiveness if someone is doing something against us, like if someone says something bad or whatever like that.
We steal the money or like that. You have to always forgive them. That's what the devotee.
Yeah, but so someone slaps me, well, I'll forgive that. But if someone kills my wife, I'll forgive that. No, he's going to die. He's going to die. But if someone slaps me or does whatever to me, well, you know, I forgive that. But like that. So if someone did something terrible to your wife or whatever, and you don't care, is that a good quality?
No, it's a coward.
Well, not only a coward, but it means what kind of love you have.
That's right.
What kind of love you have for a person that you can tolerate,
Yeah.
you know, someone hurting them. You know, like King Parikshit was walking around his kingdom, which was the whole earth. He was his kingdom 5,000 years ago. And he saw one man, a black man, dressed up like a king, but he was cutting the legs of a bull and a cow with a sword.
Oh.
And what is the King Parikshit going to do? Oh, I forgive you. Would that be the right thing to do? I forgive you. No, he pulled out his sword. I'm going to kill you. Like now, you're dead. And then what did this cheat do? Fell down at the king's feet, knowing that if he doesn't surrender on the spot, he's dead.
Yeah.
So he fell down at his feet. Then, because he surrendered to the king, then the king gave him an opportunity to correct himself, like that. So that's a whole big story. I won't go into the whole story, but yeah, no. If you do something against others, then you have to pay. But yeah, if you do something against me, you know, I might tolerate that. But like you know, like if you do something against the devotee might tolerate it and forgive it. But who doesn't forgive and who doesn't tolerate if you do something against the devotee?
Krishna
doesn't forgive. If you
Krishna,
do it.
like remember we started talking about the father doesn't forgive if you hurt the
Yeah.
children, right? So Krishna doesn't forgive. If you hurt a devotee, or what to speak if you killed a devotee, oh my God,
No chance.
You are like roasted.
Yes.
You know, by Krishna is going to put the thumb screws on you for unlimited lifetimes. You know, so it's, you know, Krishna doesn't forgive. So like that, and you know, so a devotee might forgive if you hurt the devotee, but if you say something bad against Krishna, then the devotee's going to kill you. You know what I'm saying? Then the devotee's not going to forgive. So against myself, yeah, I'll forgive. You do something against me. But if you like, I know one of the local guys actually here insulted Prabhupada in an email to me. Insulted Prabhupada and the scriptures and the Vedas. He blasphemed the Vedas and our spiritual master. And I wrote straight back. I said, you really hurt my feelings a lot, mate. I said, I'm not going to see your face ever again. I'm not going to talk to you ever again. I'm not going to reply to any of your emails ever again. That's it, finished. Like that. So he could have said, you know, Abai, you're a rascal, you're a demon, you're whatever, you're ugly, you're lazy, whatever. And I have no problem with that. But you say something against my spiritual master and Krishna, then that's it. Finish. No forgiveness. No, because I love my spiritual master. I love Krishna. You can't. I'm not going to accept anything against them. Nothing. No forgiveness. So that's how it works.
I'm surprised you didn't just march up there straight away and punch him on the nose or something.
That's the last resort. First of all, you have to, I mean, your first thing you're supposed to do is philosophically, you have to change their mind. You have to try to, they've said something wrong, you know, because of some wrong understanding. So you have to try to correct that. So that's what I did. I tried to correct that. I said, you're completely off, mate. You completely lost the plot. You know, this is what you said is completely wrong. Like that. So I tried to philosophically correct. If that still doesn't work, then yeah, in the scriptures, it says that if someone blasphemes the Lord or the Lord's devotee, then the final thing after you try to correct them, or the first thing you do is you try to correct them. The second thing you do, if you can't correct their wrong ideas, then you leave that place immediately. And if you can't leave the place, then the last resort is you cut their tongue out. So I'm not recommending the last one. So the first two, you try to correct the person has a wrong idea. If you can't do that, then you leave, like that. Like me and my dad, right? I can't correct him because he always thinks, doesn't matter how old I am, like I'm 50 now, but from his point of view, I'm always his stupid little son that doesn't know anything, so I can't correct anything he says. So the best thing for me to do is leave wherever, he is, go as far away from him as I possibly can, so that's what I do. Because if I go close to him, immediately he's going to blaspheme again, which is bad for him. Like for me, to be too close for my father is violence. Because whenever I get close to him, he remembers God in a negative way, and God's devotees in a negative way. Like he'll blaspheme ISKCON, blaspheme Prabhupada, blaspheme Krishna. Whenever I go, he doesn't do that when I'm not there, because he's not thinking about it. But whenever I go there, it's like a reminder to him that God took his son away and the Guru took his son away and everything like that. And then so the best thing I can do if I love my father is stay away from him, because I'm actually hurting him. I'm hurting him. He's doing great violence to himself if I go close. And the worst thing I can possibly do is preach to him, because that makes him really angry. That makes him really angry. And then he blasphemes the Lord like that, which is really bad for him like that. So yeah, these are some fine points of the Vaishnava etiquette. Etiquette means like guidelines that regulate our behavior. So there's guidelines for devotees, how to act, how not to act, recommended like that. So yeah, we've discussed some interesting things, isn't it? Some interesting things. But yeah, this is all in regards to how we get so deluded. We get so deluded. If even in goodness we get deluded by Maya, what to speak of in ignorance or passion and so forth like that. So the only way to deal with it is, like we mentioned in 1866, is to surrender to the Lord, and he can help us get free from this illusion, from this Maya. So that's the point of this verse, is that we're all helplessly under illusion, and the only one that isn't is the Lord and the Lord's representative, the spiritual master. So we should surrender either to the spiritual master or the Lord, or both, to get free from illusion. So that's the understanding we get here in this verse. So let's read some of the purport. So Deepa, would you like to read some? So the first paragraph, we read the short one. So start from every living entity.
Okay. Every living entity under the influence of material nature has a particular type of body and a particular type of psychological and biological activities accordingly. There are 4 classes of men functioning in the 3 material modes of nature. Those who are purely in the mode of goodness are called Brahmanas. Those who are purely in the mode of passion are called Kshatriyas. Those who are in the modes of both passion and ignorance are called Vaishyas. Those who are completely in ignorance are called Sudras. And those who are less than that are animals or animal life. However, these designations are not permanent. I may be either Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or whatever. In any case, this life is temporary. But although life is temporary and we do not know what we are going to be in the next life, By the spell of this illusory energy, we consider ourselves in terms of this bodily conception of life, and we thus think that we are American, Indian, Russian, or Brahmana, Hindu, Muslim, etc. And if we become entangled with the modes of material nature, then we forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is behind all these modes. So Lord Krishna says that living entities deluded by these three modes of nature do not understand that behind the material background is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Okay, you could stop there. So, as Bob was mentioning before about false ego, so it's nicely described here what some examples of this false ego. I think that when we think that, oh, I'm an American, I'm Indian, I'm Russian, I'm a Brahmana, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian, I'm an Aussie, I'm a Kiwi, I'm a man, I'm a woman. So this is false ego. Ego means identity, and false means false, right? So false identity. So what's our real ego? Our real identity is that we're an eternal soul. We have an eternal relationship with Krishna. That's our real ego, is I'm a servant of Krishna. I'm an eternal servant of Krishna. Anything other than that is false ego. You know, where we're identifying basically with the body. But remember, the body is made up of the modes. So like it was saying, there's 4 different divisions, right? Depending on what mode your body, and it mentions the mind also. So it's psychophysical. So psycho means mind, and physical means physical, the body. So according to the body and mind that you have, that's developed according to a particular mode. So if your body and mind is coming from the mode of goodness, then that's a Brahmana. So, and if the body and mind is produced from passion, mode of passion, then you're a Kshatriya, a warrior class. And then if you're a mixture of passion and ignorance, your body and mind, then you're a Vaishya. And then if it's an ignorance, then Sudra. And less than that, like he says, the animals. But that's just the body. But then I shouldn't think I am a Brahmana, I am a Kshatriya, I am a Sudra. No, that's what the body is. But you are still the soul. You know, it's like, do you think I am a Toyota, I am a Mitsubishi, I am a Ferrari? No, that's your car, mate. It's not you. You're the driver. So there's a difference between the driver and the car. So we shouldn't forget that. So yeah, the car is definitely fitting into those modes, either goodness, passion, or ignorance. But we got to remember that we're the driver, we're not the car. We're beyond that. We have to always remember we're not this body. And that's the main thing that Prabhupada said in most classes and all through the books, right? That you are not this body, you are the soul. So that's the false ego, when we think we are the body, you know. But that's just our dress or our vehicle. Another example is the body is compared to a dress, you know. But you're not your shirt or your pants or your coat or whatever like that. That's just your covering like that. So this is important to understand. And also in looking at those 4 divisions, I mean, in modern Hinduism, it's called the caste system. But that's a deviation from the original system that Krishna created, because this system of dividing society in these 4 different types of work, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, is actually created by Krishna. And you can look in that at the 4th chapter, text 13. Krishna says there, 4th chapter, text 13, that he created these divisions of society in terms of work. Where you work as a Brahmana, work as a Kshatriya, work as a Vaishya, work as a Sudra. So Krishna said, this comes from me. Chaturvanyam Maya Shrishtam. He says, I am the father of the system. He created the system. But where the modern caste system, Hindu system, has got it wrong, they decide what division you're in according to what family you're born in. Okay? Janma. That you're born in a family of brahmanas, which is like priests or intelligent class. If you're born in that family, then you're immediately rubber stamped, labeled that that's what you are. You're a brahmana. All right? If you're born in a Sudra family, Sudra means laborer, then you're rubber stamped for life as a laborer. However, the original system, and what Krishna says in that verse 4:13, and he doesn't say the word janma. Look for the word janma in that verse. It's not there. Nothing about birth. It's guna and karma. Guna means the quality. You're in a division. You're put in a division according to the quality that you are displaying. The quality that you are displaying. Are you displaying the mode of goodness? Are you displaying the mode of passion? Are you displaying the mode of ignorance like that, or a mix of passion and ignorance like that? And the karma, what activities you're doing, right? Can I call myself a priest? I'm a priest, I'm a brahmana, and the activities I'm doing are driving a taxi.
No, you can't call yourself a priest.
No, I mean, if you do the work of a priest, then you can call yourself a priest. If you're driving a taxi, then you call yourself a taxi driver. You don't call yourself a priest. You know, so, and I've seen that. I've seen, like, you know, a really good priest here in New Zealand, comes from India originally, but he gave up that work and started to work as a courier driver.
Yeah, I know that.
But then he's not a priest anymore. Then he's a courier driver. So you can't call yourself a doctor but you're working as a plumber. No, you can't. If you work as a plumber, you're a plumber. If you work as a doctor, then you're a doctor. You get the idea. So you have to do the work to take on that designation, and also you have to have the qualities that go with it. I mean, oh yes, I'm a very good doctor. What's the statistics of you know, all your patients? They all died. So then it means you don't really have the qualities of a doctor, because the doctor is supposed to save lives, right? If you have a doctor and every single one of his patients dies, then he doesn't really have the qualities of a doctor.
Find out where did he get his degree from?
Makes no difference. I'm still not going
from
to him.
somewhere little village in India.
Yeah. So it means you have to have the qualifications, and same with a doctor, right? Can you become a doctor if you haven't even done the doctor's degree?
No.
You can't. You know, oh, but no, that doesn't matter that I don't have a degree. My mum and dad is a doctor. My mum and dad is a doctor. I don't have any degree. I've never been to school, but I'm a doctor because, see, my mum and dad are doctors. But it doesn't work like that. So that's where Hinduism has gone wrong. Okay, you're born in a family of Brahmin intellectual priests, and you automatically think that you're a Brahmana. But no, you're not. You're not a Brahmana until you've done the training, till you have done the training, got the qualifications, and displaying the behavior and doing the activities of the Brahmana. Then you're a Brahmana, right? So that's what it's meant to be like. And that's why so many people find the modern Hindu caste system very obnoxious, because it is. Because it's a corruption or a perversion of the original system. So the real thing is according to the qualities in it. So I could have been born in a family of Sudras, but if I got trained up by the guru to how to be a Brahmana, then you actually become a Brahmana, not a Sudra anymore. And I actually was, you know, I was born in a family of Sudras, but I got the training when I was 20 years old to 30 years old. For 10 years, I got trained up how to be a Brahmana. And I did the work of a Brahmana. So then you're actually not a Sudra anymore. Then you're a Brahmana, like that. So the divisions can be changed. Like Prabhupada mentioned, they're temporary. So you could be in the mode of ignorance, right? But are you always going to be in the mode of ignorance? Maybe, but not necessarily. You could, elevate yourself from ignorance to passion, then elevate yourself from passion to goodness. Hopefully before you die, you're at least in goodness, like that. But you don't. The worst thing is to die, to born ignorant and die ignorant. The purpose of a human being, you can't avoid being born in ignorance. Actually, it's said in Kali Yuga, everyone is born ignorant in Kali Yuga. Everyone. Doesn't matter you're born in a family of Brahmanas, born in a family of Sudras. What's that?
Died ignorance is a choice. You want to be died ignorant, it's your choice. Or you want to be died elevated, it's your choice.
Yeah. But we have no choice about our birth, but we have a choice before we die.
Yeah.
To get the training, to get the qualifications. The 7 purposes of ISKCON, through most of the 7 purposes, it's all about education. Actually, ISKCON means it's an educational institution. It's an educational organ. It's all about education. To educate us about what? That Krishna is God and that we're his servant, and then we're going to be happy by serving him and so forth, like that. So you get the idea, but that's the main purpose, is education, to bring us up out of ignorance, which everyone is in Kali Yuga, and to at least into goodness, or to ultimately love for God, which is beyond even goodness. So, but in previous ages, it's not necessarily that everyone is born a Sudra, born ignorant, because they did samskaras. It's called, the parents did samskaras, purificatory ceremonies, starting from before conception of the child. And that if you do that, first one is called Garbhadan Samskar, even when at the time of the husband impregnating the wife, Garbhadan Samskar, then you attract a very elevated soul to come to that womb of the wife. Very elevated. So it's not just some ignorant Kali Yuga kind of personality, but a very elevated soul. But said in Kali Yuga, mostly people are not doing these purificatory ceremonies, samskaras, anymore. So therefore, it's just very low grade, living entities are taking birth. So we're all like automatically we're all Sudras. It's a very low birth. However, the good news is we can all be elevated, no matter how low our birth is, be elevated if we get the proper guidance from the spiritual master and the scriptures. We can be elevated. Whereas in Hinduism doesn't allow that. They say, no, you're born a Sudra mate, Sudra family mate, that's it, you're always a Sudra. So therefore a lot of so-called Hindus, they left that because it's very oppressive for the lower classes. So a lot of Sudras, they took up other religions, like became Muslims and so forth, because the Brahmins and that were very, back to talking about abusive, were very abusive, pushing down on the Sudras. So the Sudras have said, stuff you guys, we're going to become a Muslim, or a Christian or something. So many Muslims and Christians, they were actually used to be Hindus, but they ran away from it because they were terribly treated, no respect, like that. Whereas in the original Vedic system, everyone is respected. Actually, the Sudras are compared to the parts of divisions of society are compared to different parts of the body. So the Sudras are compared to the legs, the Vaishyas are compared to the stomach, and the Kshatriyas compared to the arms, and the Brahmanas compared to the head. So the head gives direction to the body. So Brahmanas are very intelligent, so they give direction to society. The Kshatriyas protect the society, so just like your arms protect you, So the Kshatriyas protect society. Just like the stomach feeds the body. So the Vaishyas, they're the producers. They're growing the food, milking the cows. So they're just like the stomach. They're feeding the body, the social body. And the Sudras are working hard, getting the work done. So they're like the legs. Take you somewhere. You can do your work if you have legs. Try working if you don't have legs. You're not going to get much done. You know, so you need your legs to get the work done. So there, and you know, do you love your head? Put up your hands if you love your head.
Yeah.
You know, do you hate your legs?
No.
No, of course you love your legs just as much as you love your head, because both are useful, right? But so why do we, you know, we respect the Brahmins, the head of society, but we spit on or we hate the Sudras? But mate, don't forget, they're getting all the work done. If you don't have Sudras, then because the Brahmana doesn't want to clean the toilet, you know, that's the problem. The Brahmana doesn't want to clean the toilet, but the Brahmana wants to use a clean toilet. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The Brahmana, he wants to worship, he wants to do the puja on the arati, right? But he doesn't have time to clean the toilet. He doesn't want to clean the toilet. But at the same time, he needs to use a clean toilet. Because you need to be clean to go on the altar, right? How are you going to be clean to go on the altar if the toilet's dirty? You know what I'm saying? So that Brahmana needs the Sudra. You know, actually the Brahmana should clean the toilet because that's a lesson in humility. Because like I said, the disease of the Brahmanas is pride. The main conditioning of the main danger for the Brahmanas is because you have more knowledge and everything and you feel so happy that you become proud. So the good way to cut that down is do some humble service. Do some humble service. Clean the toilets every now and again is good for you. You know, it's good for you. Do some cleaning, do some menial work. It's good for cut down that pride, do some humble service. Actually, in the early days of ISKCON, the book distributors, they, you know, would have a marathon and who would distribute the most books, and they have a bit competitive, and there's a prize. If you distribute the most books, you get a prize. So the particular prize for this competition of distributing the most books was a toothbrush. Toothbrush. You know why? Why he was given a toothbrush?
For cleanliness.
He would use that toothbrush, he would use it to clean the toilet with a toothbrush. Cleaning the toilet, why with a toothbrush? You don't use a toothbrush to clean. That's for your teeth, not for cleaning the toilet. Humility. But it means a lot of work, a lot of detailed cleaning. That's toothbrush cleaning means detailed cleaning. So it means that whole mood the devotees had then was that you want to become humble. You don't want to be, I'm the biggest book distributor, but that's actually really bad, you know, to think that you're the best, you know, I'm the best, I'm the biggest, I'm the whatever. No, you want to think I'm the servant of all the devotees. All the devotees are using this bathroom. I'm going to clean it for them. I'm going to do some nice service for all the devotees. And like that, you know, so that's real knowledge actually, is humility. Real knowledge is humility. If we become proud of all of our knowledge, then you've lost the knowledge, because knowledge means humility, that we are small. If you get a lot of knowledge and then you think you're very big and you're very great, then you lost it. Somewhere along the track, you lost it, mate. And I'm saying this because I've seen it so many times, even, sorry to say, even within our own ISKCON society. You know, you're very learned. You know all the scriptures and can quote everything and verses and everything. And you can do arati and tie your dhoti perfectly and tilak nice and sika nice, everything. And, you know, GBC, even temple president or whatever like that. But become proud. You know, not humble. like that. So, and it's not always the case, but I've seen it happen. And so be careful, we have to watch out, that's a trap that comes with knowledge. A trap that comes with knowledge is you think you're better than others. And that pride is, comes before the fall, is very disastrous. So always stay humble. And let's take it from Krishna that humility is the beginning of knowledge. In the 13th chapter, let's have a quick look because we're running out of time. 13th chapter, text 8. This is a whole string of verses, which is Krishna telling us what knowledge means, what knowledge is. What does it mean to have knowledge? So Krishna tells us here in this it's 5 verses altogether. So what's the first one? Just look at the word for word. What is the definition of the first word, amanitvam? Look on the word for word. It tells you what every word means underneath the verse.
Humility.
Before the English translation.
It's humility.
Yeah, amanitvam is humility. And if you see it in the translation, it's the first thing, humility. And then what's the second one? Pridelessness, which is basically very similar. Without pride. What prideless? Prideless. It means also kind of saying the same thing, right? Humility. To not have pride. Humility means to feel yourself very small, very insignificant. And prideless means to not feel yourself very big, right? So it's 2 ways of saying the same thing. To feel very small and to not feel yourself very big. You know what I'm saying? So humility, to feel yourself very small, very insignificant. And prideless, to not feel big. And what this is, look at the end of the translation. This is Krishna speaking. It's a long translation. The last part of it says, all these, so there's like 20 things mentioned, all these I declare to be knowledge. And besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance. Right? So this is knowledge, to be humble, to not be proud. This is knowledge. If you say, I have a lot of knowledge, and you're very proud by the display of your behavior, then actually you have no knowledge. Because the humility is the first one. So it means if you're proud, you haven't even reached number 1, and there's like 20. And the 20th one is like love for God. So forget about loving God, mate. You don't even have the first one, which is humility. So never forget that. That's the beginning, and you don't forget it when you reach the second one or the third one or the 20th one. You don't forget the first one. You always have to have the first one, and you always have to have the second one, and you always have to have you have to keep it all, because as soon as you lose one of them, the knowledge is all gone. Knowledge is all gone. At the end of the purport, Prabhupada compares this process of knowledge to a ladder. Right? So imagine you go up the first step, second step, third step, 10th step, right? 10th step. What's going to happen if you remove the bottom of the ladder?
You're going to go right back to step 1.
You got to go splat on your head, mate. You got to go splat on your head. So as soon as you lose the humility, you lost it. You lost it. So, I'm a big guru, I'm a big sannyasi, I'm a big leader, I'm a big... Mate, you're a big nothing. You're never big. You were never big. You're not big now, and never in future you're going to be big. You're always small. That's what I'm saying. We have to remind ourselves and help others to understand that. Because as soon as you forget that, it's a disaster. It's a disaster for our own life, because Krishna's going to kick you out the backside. And it's a disaster for the society that we live in. Because it's very harmful. The people become so harmful, when they're proud. So these are very fundamental things. That's why I talk about it for so long, because they're just so important. And Maya is so powerful that you could think, no, it's not possible. What are you talking about? You can't be a devotee and get proud. Yeah, you can, because Maya is so strong. That's how you can, because Maya she'll sneak up on you and you think you're the best devotee and everything like that. But Maya can just completely cover you over and you don't even know. You think I'm doing good, I'm doing well, and not realizing that you completely lost the plot. So we always have to be careful, and knowing also, it's said in the scriptures, Prabhupada said many times, as soon as you try to be Krishna conscious, Maya will specifically attack you. She's going to focus. Oh, you want to be Krishna conscious? Really? Oh, okay, try this one. So I'll give you some power. I'll give you some money. I'll give you good health. I'll give you followers, and like that. And how are you going to handle that? So these are Maya tries to trap even the devotee and take us off track. Of course, I'm not saying you can't have all those things. You can use them in Krishna's service. You can use wealth in Krishna's service and a position in Krishna's service and everything. So it's not automatically bad, but I'm just saying there is potential. Watch out. Be careful. Be careful. Be very careful. Should always be humble. One time Prabhupada was leaving a temple, walking out the front door of a temple. He was walking to the car. Either side of the pathways lined up with devotees. And the custom is, the tradition is that when you see your spiritual master, you fall down on the ground. You bow your head on the ground. So everyone bowed their head on the ground except for one brahmachari. He just folded his hands, but he didn't, which is third class way of offering respect. Second class is put your head on the ground. First class is lie flat on the ground. Dandavat. So anyway, he did a third class respect. Everyone else bowed their head on the ground. He was just like this. Prabhupada didn't even look at him, but he saw, because Prabhupada was so conscious, so aware of everything. From the corner of his eye, he saw that one devotee didn't bow down. And the closest servants to him heard what Prabhupada very softly said. He very softly said, seeing that from the corner of his eye, that is the beginning of his fall down. No humility. You didn't have the humility. You have to offer respect to a greater personality. I'm nothing. I'm like a dust under your feet. You have to feel like that. If you don't, then you're lost. You're lost. So that's what I'm saying. Easily. We can easily go off track. So that's why we need, always need guidance. To keep us on the right path. So it's easy to go off track. And yeah, time's up for me. So would anyone like to say anything?
See you next week.
Yes, that's the plan.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
So that's all right. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll try for next week, because my daughter is coming to stay with us next week. So I have to give her a bit of attention.
Sure.
Like I said, that's my duty as the father. I have to protect and be a good.
Yeah. How
old is she?
She's 19. She's just did her first year in architecture, in a degree in architecture. So she's got a bit of a break at the moment. She's doing really well. She's a good soul.
Enjoy some time with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if it works out, we'll do it next Thursday. But if I can't turn up, that's what happened.
You're forgiven.
But yeah, just try us out, and I'll send a message anyway.
Yep.
If I can't make it, But yeah, we like to do this, so let's see.
Yeah.
I might try to get her to join in.
Oh yeah, why not?
It'll be good for her. Get
That'll
some
be
spiritual knowledge. Yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
Good luck, mate.
Thank you very much.
Then. Good night.
Okay, take care.
Bye. Hare Krishna.